So my guests today are Kevin and Connor from Turning the Tables. These guys have a very successful reaction channel they've started recently. Thank you guys for coming on. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Amazing Sunday.
Yeah. You guys are my second long form interview that I'd like to do. And the format that I have chosen at this point is 10 questions. So if you're cool with that, I've got a couple questions for both of you, and then we'll kind of break out into some individual questions for each of you. Does that work?
Okay. Let's get it done.
So the first question I have, I just want to know what inspired you guys to start the channel in the first place.
That's going to be Connor all the way.
Yeah. The channel was my idea, but I didn't plan on making it a channel, really. It was just for fun. I wanted to show my dad a Radiohead record, which I really liked. And I've seen people do reaction videos on YouTube. So I was like, I'm going to record it so I can look back when I'm older and, just kind of share that moment and see what the reaction was like. Then I posted it on Reddit and, or no, I didn't even post it on Reddit yet.
No, you didn't.
Somebody else found it and posted it on Reddit,
yeah,
which
right.
made it kind of get a lot of views, and people were requesting that we do more Radiohead. And then it kind of went from there. It just started snowballing. And then we kind of developed a format from there on.
To be honest, I was quite reluctant at the beginning. Like it was summer. I had a bad back. Everything was like Connor kept asking me, can you come out on the porch and we'll just listen to this album? I'm like, no, I don't want to. I just kept, now I feel bad, but I just kept putting it off and putting it off. And then finally, when we did sit down and it was sunny and it was hot, and I put on the headphones and listened, and actually took that time from not, doing the crazy stuff of normal life, just sitting and listening to an album uninterrupted with him was amazing.
Yeah.
So it was, so I'm really glad that he's done what he's done. It's really changed my outlook on life, to be honest with you.
That's awesome. And that, I'm guessing that was Kid A. I'm seeing it on the wall behind you. Was that?
Oh, no, that was for, the first one was a moon-shaped pool.
Oh, okay.
Because it was just, I just love that record a lot. And then the Radiohead fans were like, you got to show them OK Computer, Kid A, and Rainbows, all that. So then we continued with the Radiohead for a bit.
Nice.
It was
I think I noticed, those first few videos were recorded outside, right?
Yeah.
We had the setup going.
Yeah, we didn't have a set or anything. We kind of just moved around wherever we could, whatever area of the house was available.
That's exactly.
We would set up, and we were using a webcam and just one mic, and kind of just went with it until now. We actually have designated an area to record and whatnot.
Yeah,
where we don't get interrupted.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to have that. My second question for you guys: you started your channel, I think, a little bit after me, and you've already hit, I think, 120,000 subscribers, which is, very impressive. And I'm just curious, what that has been like for you in terms of having that many fans suddenly, if you want to call them that, or so many eyes on what you're doing. How does that hit you?
You want to answer first?
Yeah, I first off, it was when we first hit, I think when you texted me in the middle of the night that 200 people had watched it, or was it?
Yeah, it might have been 200 views or
200
something.
views or something like that. I was blown away, and I'm like, being a musician my whole life and not having any type of success in terms of like, big crowds or stuff like that. I was like freaking out in the middle of the night, like 200 people, wow, right. 200 people watched it. And then suddenly, as it started to grow incrementally, and one of the things that really changed my perspective of the whole thing was the absolute heartfelt texts and emails and messages and DMs about how people resonated with what we were doing in terms of like a loss of a parent or some kind of strain in the relationship, and they just sort of formed onto that. And I was coming downstairs printing them and showing them to Connor because I was I was honestly so moved that I printed them and I stuck them up in my office upstairs, and because it just happened so fast, but it seemed to resonate with people for some reason, and that really touched me, right? So I don't know about you.
Kind of the same. I mean, it's hard to believe it, and when I look at the number, but what really connects with me is just the messages and DMs and everything that we get, and people send like some really personal stuff, and it moves me really, honestly. Some of the stuff that we get just about relationships and music and life and everything, and
Yeah,
it's hard to read sometimes,
It is, yeah. Some of the ones this morning, Connor and I were sitting having tea early this morning, and I was going through some of them, and there was one that was a full 2 paragraphs, and I said to Connor, I said, it's surreal how it's that we have this relationship, and we've always been fairly close, but we're a lot closer now with this process. But you start to realize that everybody doesn't have that relationship as close as we have, like, and so those people, when they're reaching out with those feelings, it is really, it's a bit of a struggle, because you feel for them, right? You really do feel for them, and the stuff that they're going through. So it's on that front, it's a beautiful thing. I think it's amazing, right?
Yeah, I think that answers it. I'm not sure if
Yeah,
no, it does. Yeah, and I feel the same way. It's like once you have this audience, my favorite is when I get a message from somebody that's like, thanks for reviewing this album. I'd never heard it before, and now that I have, it's like one of my favorite albums ever. And I'm like, the fact that I've got to put you on with something that you're probably going to carry with for the rest of your life. It's like,
it's amazing. Yeah,
you couldn't ask for anything more meaningful, I think, out of a YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And sorry, just to go back, Kevin, you said you're a musician. I don't know, maybe I missed that in the videos that I've watched. I'd love to hear more about your background as a musician.
Yeah, well, I touched on it a little bit in some of on the Patreon videos, and just sort of I've been introducing.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever touched on it in a YouTube video.
Okay,
no, I think it's only been just like on the uncut. You've chatted a little bit about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I started songwriting when I was a kid. I started playing drums first. I'm a drummer first and foremost. Then I took on guitar because I couldn't really express myself on the drums and sing at the same time. And my brother thought it was a bit of a joke that I didn't have music. So I traded in my bass drum for a fake Strat, and then started teaching myself guitar. And then from there, I just sort of progressively started writing and pitching to Nashville at the time, a bunch of country songs back in the 80s, I guess. And then just playing clubs, bars, and doing some movie music, and then sort of taking a big chunk away. And just to do what I did, I was in restaurant design. So I was working in that for many, many years. And then it was like, he'll say no, but it was really Connor who said to me on a walk one day, when we were walking, he goes, how come you don't do the one thing you love anymore? Like, and, play music and all that kind of stuff. And I really got out of it. Just the rat race, just, paying the mortgage and going to work and the paycheck and stuff. And then I really put music aside. And the stuff that made me fall in love with music when I was young, when I get the shivers and at the concert and you hear the first thing and you watch the roadies set up, I had to go back and look at that after Connor brought that up and go, that's the stuff that made the magic, what makes you feel great about music. And he did bring that back. So thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah. I have to ask, if, you said you were a drummer and you had trouble singing and playing at the same time. Have you seen anything from Anderson .Paak yet?
You know what? I was jamming with a few guys one night, and I was on the kit, and it was like 2:00 in the morning, and they're like, "You got to check this out. You got to check this guy out." So they put it on the screen, and it was from what's it called?
The basement.
Tiny Desk. Yeah.
Yeah, he showed me some Tiny Desk, and I was just like, "Oh my god, I gotta." So I haven't gone and listened to much, because I think Connor might have that.
Yeah, we're probably gonna do it. Do one of his records at some point. So yeah, stay away from it for now. But that's the hardest part, is there's like the Man on the Moon stuff. I've become a big Cuddy fan, and I go onto Spotify or I go onto a video, and I'm like, no. And now I check with Connor. I go, is it cool? He goes, no, you got to stay away from that one.
Yeah, you're locked in.
I really don't know about till we sit down at the chair beside us here. I don't know really what we're doing, and I love it that way, because if I have any preconceived thoughts or somebody sent me something, right, then it's there. So when I'm completely green when I put on those headphones, so I don't know what's coming. So I like to keep it that way, to be honest.
I like that format as well. Like, I don't tell you until maybe the day of or a few hours before we film.
Yeah, and stay away from everything. Stay away from the internet. And
yeah.
But definitely, I got to check him out some more. I think there was somebody had said or you had mentioned the other day that the Bruno Mars and
Silk Sonic, they have a record coming out.
Oh yeah, that'll be soon. That might be out by the time this video comes out. We'll see.
Yeah.
Speaking of instruments, you play the keys back there?
I do. Yeah, I play guitar and piano. Never like professionally or anything like that. Just kind of messing around. I've got kind of an ear for music. Maybe that's why I'm, like attracted to this field. Is I don't know. Like I've learned how to play instruments kind of by ear. I've had some classes, but yeah, it's just comforting for me, you know, to sit down and try to figure things out. Like I'll just have a song in my head, and it's like, I wonder if I could figure out how to play that on the piano, and
Oh,
that's
sweet.
kind of what I do. So
Yeah.
that's fun. Kevin, you kind of touched on what my next question was going to be, but I was going to ask, you know, do you think part of the appeal of your channel is the fact that a lot of people maybe don't have the same relationship with their dad? So it's nice to see, you know, a father-son team. I know there's a lot of reaction channels out there that have, you know, some particular gimmick, whether it's coming from a, you know, kind of background in music or one thing or the other. But, you know, seeing a father-son, I feel like for a lot of people, that's maybe, like you said, maybe they don't have that relationship, but they're just looking for that kind of warmth.
Exactly, you know, and then like the ones recently with people with some of the viewers that have lost their parents due to COVID, or they're you know, one of the loved ones or something, and just them saying they have us on in the background. It's like, I'm going to get emotional, but they no, really, they say they have it on in the background, like it's like another, like the family members there, right? And then we're just sort of just chatting, and then one fellow said he just puts it on repeat just to have the company of us talking and stuff, and those hit home, like, you know, they really do. It's powerful stuff when people are using that medium that way, right?
Of course, yeah.
Right.
And you said, you know, the process has brought you guys closer. Do you have any other shared hobbies or interests that you guys would do prior to this?
Well, we always shared the interest of music. Like I would show you something, you would show me something, but it was never in this type of format where we actually sat down with headphones, you know?
No.
What other shared interests do we have?
Well, we're hardcore hockey players. Well, I think
not players, really.
Well,
fans.
I think
Yeah.
we play a lot of, we shoot a lot of stick, right? Outside mostly, not on ice, but
yeah, we're from Canada, so we watch a lot of hockey together. That's probably another thing that we bond over.
Yeah, it's Connor's running at me, you know, in the middle of something, got to check this goal out, and he shows me on the phone, right? And then,
if someone does something crazy in the NHL, but that's another thing that, you know, brings us together.
That's cool. I'll get into the individual questions that I have for you guys. So first for Connor, what's been the most surprising reaction so far from your dad?
You know, I think the most surprising would have to be, I think, rodeo, to be honest, because it was highly requested. A lot of people wanted us to do rodeo. And I love the record, but I honestly did not think my dad would like it as much as he did. Because you love that record, right?
I do. I honestly do. It's just so differently done in terms of mix, right? In my ears, right. I'll let you finish, but yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think rodeo is the one, because I had a feeling he would like Kid Cudi. Same with Kanye and obviously Radiohead. Like I had no doubt that he was going to like their work. But rodeo was one that I was like, well, rodeo and Frank Ocean. But I wasn't surprised with the Frank Ocean reaction, because you were kind of like, at first you weren't like big on it. It had to grow on you.
It definitely did, because it was just a lack of instrument drums coming in. Honestly, it was, for me, it was just being a drummer. I'm waiting for something, something to come in, and then it didn't. And I'm like, when's it going to drop? Right. But
but with rodeo, I didn't expect you to like it right off the bat.
Yeah.
So then when you did, I was like, well, that's kind of, I'm surprised.
Yeah.
So that's my answer.
Yeah. Rodeo, something about that album. I remember the first time I heard it, I didn't like it. My little brother requested that I listen to it. This was probably back in 2015. And I was like, this is not, I think the only song I liked was Piss on Your Grave with Kanye.
Oh yeah.
I just love the rock energy. That is so cool.
I don't know if it's a sample or if it's like, it's such a great rock groove. I thought it was taken from somewhere from the 70s.
If it's not a sample, it's Mike Dean, because he's you know, the guy with all the guitar stuff for anything.
That's right.
At this point. But yeah, when I listened to it like a year later, I think I was on a plane, and you know, with the headphones, I was just fully immersed, and it was like, this is really an incredible album. I don't know what it like. There's something just special about that album. So Kevin, my first question for you, or should I call you Mr. Tables? Or is Kevin?
No, Kevin is fine.
Okay. So I think you kind of touched on this a little bit, Kevin. I want to know, do you think that this reaction process has changed your tastes in music and like how you listen to music?
You know what? I'll tell you honest. 100%, 110%. I give when I was really stuck in the 1-4-5 progression, a lot of, G, D, A, that type of writing, and then, the standard bridge and all that kind of stuff coming in. I realize now through this process, there really is no rules, especially starting with Radiohead, is that threw that conventional thinking out right away for me once I started to get into the Radiohead stuff, and then it followed through with everybody else, really, even through To Pimp a Butterfly,
Kendrick.
Yeah. And then there wasn't that typical song structure that I grew up with. Like I said earlier, I was like writing for country when I was younger, just to pitch. I wasn't a country fan. I just wanted to pitch songs because they did buy songs, right?
Yeah.
So I was always stuck in that formulated box. But this has really just opened my mind. Like, I'm not afraid now to go upstairs and experiment with Logic and just say, you know what, I could just yodel through this whole thing through auto-tune. Like, really, really just try anything, because I was just really, really stuck in this formulated thing. And Connor, for a few years, and he was so kind to me, but I'd come in, I'd go, I gotta check this out, man. I'd say this, and he'd be like, yeah, it's okay, but it's, I understand now why, because the music Connor was listening to was just wide open, and it was like just
so much different
than what I was making. So he was really kind to me, saying, yeah, it just needs a little this and needs a little that. But it has completely changed my mindset.
So do you find yourself going back to a lot of the music that you guys react to?
I do, yeah, constantly. Yeah, for sure. I'm out there gardening, and I'm listening to like the other day I was walking the dog to Blonde, and that just opened my mind again, because now we're doing the summary, the end of the month summary.
Yeah, we just implemented that recently. So at the end of each month, we're going to start, he's going to share his thoughts about the albums we did during the month, and how your opinion changed, or for the better or for worse. Or
yeah, and I think it's good, because that first listen is we're both, we're doing it for 2 hours, we're sitting there listening to it, and it's that initial reaction. But being out there and just walking, and then just having it on by yourself, and Connor not there, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's more true, because I'm just sort of just doing my thing. So, and then once I absorb it and take it in, then I just sit down, and I know it's a little bit crazy, but I sit down and I make notes of the songs, and then just the parts that sort of move me, and the structure and that kind of stuff. And then we summarize it. So it definitely it really changed me quite a bit.
That's awesome. My next question for Connor: how do you decide what albums you want to play for your dad?
Good question. It's, at first it was just off personal preference, because I wanted to show him Radiohead. Then we kind of started listening to what the viewers were recommending, because people were throwing in albums all the time. But at this point now, it's more of just kind of what I feel like showing him. Like we get lots of requests all the time. Oh, you got to show your dad Death Grips. You got to show your dad. It's always Death Grips and Death Grips and Donda. They're always like the main DMs I get. But I think I'm just going to stick with the format I'm doing right now, which is just what I feel I want to show him the week of, so if 1 week I want to show him some Tyler, the Creator, I'll do that. If I want to show him another Radiohead record, then I'll show him that. I try not to, what we did is last month we put out like a schedule. We said we were going to do these 4 albums. But I changed my mind. I didn't want to do the Radiohead Amnesiac album, because there's a reissue for it this month. So I was like, maybe we'll do it in November. So I did Rodeo instead. And then I got like a bunch of DMs. Hey, where the hell is Amnesiac? What happened to that? You said you were going to do it. Right. So now it's like, I just keep it low key. I don't tell anybody what we're doing until the week of. And I kind of just pick whatever I'm feeling at the time, and whatever I think he'll like. There's a reason why I haven't done certain albums yet, because people ask me, people keep asking me to do Danny Brown, Atrocity Exhibition, and they've been asking me for months. But I think if I would have shown him that too early, he might have not enjoyed it as much as he would, maybe in a month from now, after I show him some MF Doom and some more Kanye, and he gets some more feel of other records. Because there's certain records that, yeah, you know, I don't want to just throw you right in there. Like, I'm not doing the Money Store like right away. Just,
I don't even know who the Money Store.
yeah, Death Grips. So
Oh,
it's-
Death Grips.
You don't need to know yet.
Yeah.
At some
Okay.
point, at some point you will. That actually was going to be my next question for you too. Aside from Money Store, I guess, are there any other albums that you really want your dad to react to, but you just don't think he's ready for yet?
Let's think. Well, Money Store for sure, like we said. I'm having trouble deciding how to introduce him to Mac Miller, because Mac Miller means a lot to me as an artist. But I don't know where to start, because his early work, like Kids and Blue Slide Park, I don't think they're the greatest introduction like to Mac, because when I listened to them, I was a kid and I was young, and it was, you know, like about smoking pot and just having fun. So I don't think you would enjoy it that much. But I don't want to just throw you right in the middle of his discography, because you won't see how he progressed. And then I don't want to jump at the end, because, you know, I want to show you, yeah, his progression. So I'm having trouble trying to decide where to start with Mac Miller. So he's one artist that I really want to do, but I'm waiting. I'm trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
And another album, I guess. No, I think that's it. I think Death Grips is another one that
I keep hearing that all the time. And then, you know what scares me, if I mind jumping in here, is that everybody's like, "Oh, your dad is going to croak."
Oh yeah, I know. Your dad's going to die.
Your dad's going to die. And then somebody asked me on Instagram, they said, "Hey, how you feel about this doing Death Grips?" I was like, I'm actually terrified, because I don't know. Everybody says it's going to be brutal.
I think you'll be okay. As like a musician yourself, I think you'll be fine. If you weren't a musician, I think that's the kind of music that would terrify and potentially kill a parent. But you being a drummer, I think it's going to be a wild experience. I'm sure of that. Wow. You'll be okay. You'll survive.
Another album that just came to my head, or another artist, JPEG Mafia, as well as one I'd like to show my dad, but I'm waiting a little bit, you know. Same with Clipping. People have been asking for the Clipping record, or one of the Clipping records, so those I'm kind of waiting, but we'll get to him eventually once I feel he's ready.
Have you guys done Yeezus yet?
No, we're going to do Yeezus though. We're doing the Kanye records now in order. We just dropped the late registration video, and then we'll do Graduation, 808s, and eventually get to Yeezus. But I'm excited for that one a lot.
Yeah, that's definitely a turning point, I think.
Yeah,
that's like a good entry, I think, to the experimental stuff. And a lot of people claim that album was like a ripoff of Death Grips, but you know, coming from someone like Kanye, I think it's a really good entry point.
I completely agree.
I don't know what. I'm just sitting here.
You'll get there. So back to you, Kevin. Prior to this channel, what kind of music would you listen to? What kind of stuff were you into?
Prior to the channel, well, Coldplay. I'm a huge Gilmour fanatic. Pink Floyd, but I love Gilmour's solo stuff. Everything under the sun that was sort of like, you know, old school, like 80s, you know what I mean? Bowie, Dire Straits fan, you know, the Cars, that kind of stuff. So just, you know, middle of the road rock, right?
Sure.
Right.
Well, being a little older, are there any particular albums that you cling to still as like your favorites from, you know, back in the day? Or
you know what, it's funny, I was just looking at The Wall for Pink Floyd. For me, I played the other day, I was sitting in the room here and I played Back in Black, and I remember the first time I heard that from the putting it on at a friend's house, and he had just picked it up, and it was like that was just, for me, I still get shivers listening to the vinyl of that, right? So Back in Black and any of the AC/DC stuff, and you know, and then there's GNR. I went to go see GNR a few times, and the Guns N' Roses and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm also a guitar player, so I'm from the heavy side. So I've been an Aussie fanatic my whole life, right? So and Randy Rhoads, and you know, so the old school rock stuff. I still get upstairs and still crank up the Marshall and play away once in a while.
Yeah. Are there any albums through this process that you think, you know, would go into your all-time list at this point?
Okay. OK Computer, In Rainbows, and for me it was the first one, College Dropout.
Okay.
Like College Dropout, and then Late Registration is it's sort of Late Registration overtook College Dropout for me in terms of, because I had that and then we listened to that and then I was absolutely blown away. It just everything about it, from the sampling and the artistic element of sampling is something I always sort of didn't find I didn't find to be, I didn't think it was musical to, right? Because I was just like, oh, you're just taking a piece and you're doing this and that. Now I realize how intricate and how much work is involved in hearing a piece, stretching it, adding it here, and then writing a melody over top. It's like it's a whole thing on its own, you know. And I just really admire Kanye for doing what he does in terms of, on all of them, everybody who samples, it's just it's something else, right? But yeah, that's definitely, those are the ones that OK Computer and In Rainbows and College Dropout and Late Registration are like, they're on my Spotify list all time, for now.
Great. Yeah, well, the journey only begins there with Connor.
Yeah,
we'll see how that goes. I got the other question from Connor, so back to you, Kevin. Will you ever get to pick an album to have Connor react to on the channel?
You know, that we get that a lot, and it's really difficult because he has listened to so much music. Like really, I'll play something, I'll be like, how about this one? He goes, I know the album. So he, you know, we went to Animals or Roger Waters together, and he knew all of the whole Animals album when we were at the concert many years ago, and I'm like, what? How did you, like, where did I miss all this? And this was the times when I was sitting in the office, and so no, you know, I forgot where we're going for the question. I went
an album that you're going to show me.
Oh yeah. So what I'm thinking is, what I might have to do with Connor is I might have to do singles, just singles, and just sort of introduce them, like singles that moved me in a certain way in my life. And I think it'd be pretty cool to put a series of singles together for things that happened throughout my life.
Then you explain.
Then I'll explain a story behind them, because I think a whole album would be just, he's heard pretty much everything that you've heard, that I've heard. Yeah, it'll definitely be a set of singles through. Like, I don't know how many we'll do or how that'll work, but
yeah, no, I'm excited for it, because you said you were gonna like kind of explain where you were when you heard this song in your life.
And what was happening in
your life. So it's gonna be cool for me to experience, and then I'll listen to the song for the first time, and then we can chat about it afterwards. So and
I think the list that I've come up with so far is like, he definitely hasn't heard these, and if you have, I'll be really surprised, right? And I'll just leave this whole thing.
All right, so the last question I have, and this is back to really both of you guys. Obviously your channel has found a lot of success in a pretty short period of time, and I think, you know, everybody's excited about that. You've got a lot of fans at this point, and I'm curious if you have any tips you would give to someone starting their own channel, or maybe interested in doing something like you guys.
I
would like to start. I'd like to start by just saying, you know, what Connor's vision from the beginning was there was no vision. It just sort of happened organically, and just let it, and be real, and just let it happen. You know, everything that happens where there's no scripted, nothing. We just talk, and we just love music. And I think Connor said in one of the episodes that really moved me is like, it doesn't have to be in terms of reaction videos, it doesn't have to be a father or something. It could just someone you love or someone you want to share music with. Grab some headphones and spend some time. And then you get a couple of things. You get to listen to some music. You get 2 hours away from the crazy world that some people live in, and you get to spend some time with each other, right?
Yeah.
And Connor's, and back to going where he spoke about the albums, about not having a sequence, is I really like the way he's introduced things, is because he's just going from his heart, and it's not going, okay, this is about views. We're going to get the most views. We're going to blah, blah, blah. It's not that at all. He truly wants me to have an experience with the music. And I think once you do that, it resonates. People, you know, people will see that it's, you're being true, and there's true emotion in it. And don't be afraid to show true emotion. I don't think you need to cut and edit all the time. I think that if you just, in anything in life, in relationships, you just be true. And I think that will come through, right? So you can go ahead from there. But
yeah, my advice, especially if you're trying to come up as like a reaction channel, you know, doing any type of music related stuff. This goes for people that, you know, want to react to albums with people. Cause I've had a couple people message me and they said, hey, this guy's kind of taking your style. He's reacting to music with your dad.
Yeah.
And I'm
with
like,
with me?
no, not with you. That would be
He's taking your dad.
You're cheating on me. No, I've had people message me like, hey, these people are kind of doing the same style, same format you have. And to be honest, I love that. I want, if there's 100 channels that are all doing dad reacts or mom reacts to Kanye and whatever, it's like, that's awesome. I want people to, so if our format's working, feel free to copy our format and try it for yourself. I highly recommend it because you'll have such a great experience doing it, and people seem to love watching it. So yeah, I like I said, we're new at this, so I don't have much advice to give. To be honest, I'm usually asking people for advice. Shout out to John Denton. I ask him all the time. I DM him on Twitter. But that's, yeah, my one piece of advice is kind of like what my dad said, is just, you know, stay true to yourself, and you know, that's about it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for doing this. I appreciate, you know, your time and your answers.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you. That was, you know what, I was freaked out about it, but it was great.
I was probably a little freaked out about it too, you know, but I appreciate your guys' willingness to sit down with me. Have you done any other interviews, or is this
the first one? Yeah.
I'm honored to be a part of it. And,
yeah, no, it's great.
I'm sure people are going to love seeing you guys. So thanks again.
Yeah, awesome. Cheers.